Welcome to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the weekly Daily podcast, following a little bit of my life and my journey as a stand-up comedian. What is up, everybody? Another week has passed, and another podcast is here. What is new? I busy as always, just fresh off of an order of some new t-shirts, guys. That's a pretty big deal in my life if you know me at all or have heard me talk about my fashion or my clothing, my spending habits toward clothing, aka my kind of non-existent spending towards clothing. You would know that I don't put much emphasis into the style or whatever. Clothing is not very important to me. You got to wear it. I think it's illegal to not wear it. You got to care about putting it on. But typically haven't bought much, not huge into fashion, but I went ahead and ordered a bundle of t-shirts, which pretty bland, if I'm being honest. So not a huge fashion thing, but got some new t-shirts from Abercrombie and Fitch, which I bought them because I got some actually a couple months ago, and they fit very well. And I basically just got another bundle that's like some different colors, and I think I'm gonna just like throw out kind of all of my old t-shirts and just have like a bunch of bland. I mean, not just one color each, no logo, nothing, just kind of have 10 t-shirts of different colors. And so pretty excited about that. Pretty big in the Ben Dailey news arena. Excuse me. Clear my throat. I'll be honest with you guys. I did not know Abercrombie and Fitch was like, I thought that was like a middle school brand until I bought some t-shirts. It's weird because all these brands I've checked out of clothing, like I said. The last time that I cared about clothing was probably middle school. And that's just when you're trying to fit in and trying to be cool. And you're like, get me some. I mean, back then, this was so long ago. This was the 90s, early 2000s. And the fashion back in the mid to late 90s was Jinkos, those wide-legged jeans, which is apparently that's kind of coming back in a way, but those are disgusting. I don't know why. I mean, looking at those, it's like insane that those have ever been and could ever be in the future a style. I mean, ridiculous. Those might be at the top of like the worst fashion fads we've ever seen as a planet, not even as a country, but as a planet, okay? So, honestly, I hope we find life on another planet in a different race of people so then we can compare and see who has the number one top mistake when it comes to fashion. Could be us with Jinkos. But I digress. I used to care a little bit about clothing back then, and that was about the last time. And back then in middle school, the brands were Abercrombie and Fitch, and I think American Eagle was Gap. I don't know if Gap was big back then. I think it was. Pretty sure Old Navy was. I don't know. I'm just naming brands that are still around that I don't know if they were big or if just a couple of people in my class had them, and I wanted them as well. A lot of my clothing was hand-me-downs. Had a lot of hand-me-downs, and then just kind of cheaper clothing. I get it, I wasn't in a position. My parents covered me sufficiently when it came to clothing. It wasn't like lack of clothing or dirty clothes or whatever, but there were a lot of hand-me-downs. I had 3 siblings, so 4 kids. That's a lot of. When you think about it, dude, that's a lot. You don't even have to think about it. It's just a lot. That's just the fact. Like with kids and shoes are tough to provide as hand-me-downs because they kind of like run their course and just get like ragged. So you can't wear them anymore. And kids grow. I don't know if you guys know this, but kids start out as little babies and then they grow into full adults most of the time. And uh yeah, they have shoes for like 6 months maybe before it's like, all right, your feet are too big for these now. So buying shoes every 6 months for 4 kids, that's a lot. It's a lot. And you know what? Mom and dad, every time I complained as a kid about not getting the coolest clothes or shoes or whatever, I'm sorry. That's my bad. I get it now. It's a lot of money. But yeah, I'm not familiar with, I did not realize Abercrombie and Fitch was like for, it was in the all age range, apparently. I wouldn't say all age range, but for adults as well. But pretty excited. I don't get that excited about it, but interested to see if my wardrobe now is just 10 Abercrombie t-shirts. Just trying to keep it simple here. Just trying to keep it simple. I've also been kind of dabbling, looking into maybe a new jacket. I'm trying to downgrade and get rid of stuff that I don't need because I've built up a collection. I like to live a more minimalist lifestyle just because extra material stuff is not, it just brings extra stress. It's not, most of the stuff I'm not using or don't need. So I'm trying to minimize. I've built up kind of a bunch of stuff over the last few years that I don't really need. So trying to get through that and then find maybe a jacket or two that's like a solid staple that I can use most of the time. Some people like to have like a million things for every occasion. At the end of the day, it's like you only need a couple at the most. Okay? And it's like if it's really, really cold, big jacket. If it's barely cold at all and you're just looking to cover your arms, thin jacket. And then something in between. A medium jacket. I'm not talking about size, I'm talking about thickness and warmth. Medium warmth jacket. And, but people love to have different colors for this and that. And then real quickly, you go, okay, well, if I'm going to have a thick, medium, and lightweight jacket, and then if I want to have different colors, you go, okay, 3 times 2 or 3. You start getting up there. And then sometimes it's like, well, I want a jacket that goes well over a hoodie. Instead, like I have a bomber jacket right now that doesn't really fit me very well unless I have a hoodie on. Like it's a little too big. And then you start going into like sizing stuff, and then you're like, all of a sudden you're like, I have 57 jackets. I wear 3 of them. And then the other 54, I think about maybe wearing once a year and then don't. So I'm trying to downgrade. I'm trying to get this is random, but I'm thinking about getting like a retro kind of vintage, what do you call it? Windbreaker. Because right now I have kind of my go-to jacket is a coat epoxy, multicolor, kind of retro-looking windbreaker. And it's like dark colors. It's like bright red, blue, whatever, but it's darker shades. I want to get like a lighter color, either a white or just light colors to just have like, okay, here's 2 different colors. Because sometimes, if you have certain colors don't go well with certain colors. So if you have 2, I'll give you 2. Okay, if you're out there and you got 2 lightweight, 2 medium, 2 heavy, good on you. I'm not going to judge that. You know what? If you have 50 of each, that's fine. It's fine. Whatever you want to do with your life. But I've been looking through a little bit on that. Again, don't want to spend a ton of money, but I would like to be a little more efficient with my wardrobe and just with my items that I have in my possession right now. And just going through, I did a cleanup yesterday and threw out a bunch of stuff that I don't use, I don't need. yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying to clear some other stuff out. I've got an old desktop. I don't know if you guys remember desktops, but they're big. They take up space, and I don't need it. It's like I don't know what to do with it. I guess I should probably if you're familiar with computers, please let me know. Can I just pull the hard drive out to just have you know, so I have the saved stuff on there and then just sledgehammer the rest of it and throw it in the dumpster? What do you do with that? Because I want to get rid of it, but also I have so much, not so much, but it's just weird collecting old technology like that, whether it's like an old iPhone, an old laptop, desktop, old technology. For some reason, it's like weird or harder to like throw away because you're like, well, with computers and stuff, you're obviously like, I think I have some like saved files on there probably. And it's like, I think at some point I got it all off on an external hard drive, so I should be okay. But also, what if there's other stuff that I forgot about, or like if you just throw it out um, in the dumpster and somebody finds it and then you know gets access to, not that I have anything weird on there, but I don't want videos of me from 2012 singing a song that I wrote into my, some saved video of that. I don't want that out there. Okay, that's for me. All right. I write songs for me. True artist. Okay? It's not because the songs aren't good and the public wouldn't want to hear it. It's because I'm a true artist and I write songs for me. Okay. That was a bit I did. But truly, I don't know how to. If you do know, if you are familiar with computers, I could probably Google and get an answer in 20 seconds. But for the sake of the algorithm, leave a comment. What would you do? What do you do with your old technology? Because I know, like I said, I've also got a bunch of old iPhones. I think I have my original, what is it? The Samsung Galaxy One, which was the first smartphone I got back in like 2010 or 11. I think I have that. And it's like, just throw it. What are you going to do? I just threw, yesterday, this was a big moment for me, threw away my iPod Touch. Threw it out. All right. And you might be thinking, why would you do that, Ben? Don't want it. Okay. First off, I've tried. It doesn't work anymore. I've tried charging it and seeing if it could I just have like an old thing that maybe I could run with and listen to music? It doesn't work. I'm not going to take it in somewhere and pay $100 for somebody to fix this thing that I don't even want. So it's gone. Okay. And if you're listening to this and you're going, Ben, oh my gosh, I would have taken that. Sorry. It's gone. Okay. I feel a sneeze coming on. I got to battle through it, okay? That's one promise that I've made to this podcast. Never sneeze. Okay? All right. It passed. It passed, guys. I kept my promise. So yeah, that's a little update on clothing that I got going on. So trying to downsize, but also just be a little more efficient. Because this is a problem that I think everybody has, but I've bought so many things that I don't want, or that, you go, oh, that would be neat. And then you get it and you try it on once and either it doesn't fit that well or you just don't like the look of it or whatever. And then it adds to your collection. I have like 10 comedy festival t-shirts that I was going to throw away yesterday because I never wear them. But then I was like, but for nostalgia reasons. And then my head was like, for what? Nostalgia for what? For the festival? You got pictures and who cares? So I need to throw those away. But yeah, it's been trying to go through the wardrobe and level up by leveling down in quantity, if that makes sense. I'll get there. I'll keep you guys updated on the new t-shirts next week. Or I don't know. They might not be in by next week. We'll see. It's weird buying stuff not off of Amazon Prime, since most of the time I buy stuff from there, and it's usually like 2-day shipping. Uh, when you buy stuff and it's like, all right, 7 to 10 business days, and you're like, what? What is this, 1875? Are you bringing me my shirts on a horse? What is taking so long? So we'll see. I'll tell you what, I just had a thought that makes me anxious. I can't remember if I have an alarm set, and this is something I didn't realize until doing a podcast in the past, but if an alarm goes off, it stops the video, and then I have to start it again. So let's hope that doesn't happen. If it does, you won't notice, because I will. Well, there might be a patch in the video, I guess, but I will edit it. So don't worry about it. I don't know why I brought that up. That's not fun content for the pod. But in other news, guys, I'm getting older. I don't know what happened, but I re-aggravated a past injury that I believe is my rotator cuff on my shoulder. And I'm actually a little worried about it. Not terribly worried, but it has been bothering me. And I have been golfing a little bit more, which I don't think caused the injury. But if it is bothering me more and more, I think that will affect me being able to play golf comfortably or safely or whatever. But also just, like doing like writing jokes or whatever. I don't know how much the rotator cuff works when you're writing with a pen or whatever. Whoa, it's been 17 minutes? It's been 17 minutes of me talking about shirts? That's crazy, guys. Ooh, boy, that's insane. Anyways, rotator cuff. I'm not sure what happened. I think I might have injured it just by lifting weights at Orange Theory, which is not heavy weight stuff. Sometimes they do a little heavier stuff, and there's a lot of shoulders involved. So that might be where it came from. I'm trying to think, like, it had to be that or golf. I don't know. I don't think I've been or maybe actually last weekend at High Plains I was throwing a football. Maybe that did it. Which honestly that probably did do it, because I didn't really warm up. I just started chucking it. You get a little football in front of like an adult like myself, who I played one season of football in 7th grade, was not the quarterback. But let me tell you what, you get a small ball in front of somebody like me who was competitive in elementary school and was like, you know what? I probably could have played in the NFL if the ball was about half the size. Because boy, oh boy, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to palm an NFL ball, but it's for large human beings, okay? My hand it's not super tiny, but it's not Tom Brady size. It's not a elite athlete who plays in the NFL size. So if I were to try to throw a football in the NFL, I don't know that I'd be able to really palm it very well. I'd have to like really get creative to throw a 10, 15-yard pass probably. But that could have done it. Got a little small ball there at the park for the High Plains barbecue and just started whipping it. Anyways, I think my rotator cuff is what happened. I don't know if I've told this on the podcast before. It was such a stupid thing. What happened with my shoulder was about 2017, maybe 2018. I was either visiting home or had just gotten back from my time in Central America, in Nicaragua. I think I had just gotten back, so it was probably like 2018. And I was visiting a friend. We were going to, I was visiting him and then was staying there for a couple of days, and I was like going up there to go play a round of golf with him and his dad and I think another person. And so I'm at his like townhouse, and I wasn't like, we weren't drinking. It was totally sober. It's just a dumb thing. But the door, I was walking through a doorway, and the door was like open, and I just like shoulder checked the door, which, that happens. We walk around with laziness, bad coordination, whatever. Just one of those times. And I've done that a million times. But it just hit right on the corner of my shoulder. And I think it just like partially tore my rotator cuff. Or what? Like for the longest time, I thought it just tore a ligament. But I was talking to somebody recently, and I think it's probably the rotator cuff. Either way, whatever it is, I messed up my shoulder by a stupid little lazy walk through the door. And so what I did was it hurt, and then the worst part about it was we were playing golf the next day, and I was like, I don't know if I should play, but I played. And I think that just like, really messed it up. And so for the next month and a half, it felt like my shoulder was going to fall out of socket. So I was literally walking around basically holding my elbow as if just making like my own personal sling. I was too stupid to get a sling. I just held my elbow and made sure like my shoulder wouldn't fall out of socket. And I was like sleeping different. I was very paranoid about it for like a month or 6 weeks. And the problem was I had just gotten back from out of the country. I didn't have a job. I didn't have health insurance. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just broken now. That's what this has become. I'm a broken person with no means to fix myself, with the exception of just holding my arm. I have a lame arm now. I have 2 legs and 1 good arm. Granted, left arm, which is not my dominant arm. And so, yeah, that's how I almost went into a tangent about dominant arms and how does that, is that a gene? You know what? Let's get into it. I don't know. Left hand, right hand. Is that a gene? Is that just like a learned skill? Like if you just happen to kind of play with stuff a little bit more with your left hand when you grow up and you're just like, all right, that's the one that's my dominant hand. I don't know. I doubt that's it, but I would be interested to looking into that, and I will. I'm not going to put you guys through that boring ramble tangent. I'll look it up and I'll talk about it later from an informed perspective. But yeah, shoulder has been bothering me a little bit, which has been a bummer, but we'll get through it. It's kind of a bummer because I've been trying to work out a little bit more, do a little weight stuff, and now I'm a little paranoid to do that because I don't want to, if it's like kind of injured, but I'm able to golf and do kind of my daily activities that I like to do, then I'm okay with that. But if me working out, lifting weights, then puts me in a position where it's hurt and I can't play golf, that I don't want that. That's kind of the whole reason why I'm not interested in snowboarding or skiing, because it's like, I don't know, what do I go once a year, pay a bunch of money, and then if I fall and get hurt, which feels like kind of a high likelihood given that I'm not super experienced on the snow, and then if you get going fast speeds, your knees can get torn up. It's like, I don't want to tear an ACL, which would then prevent me from doing anything and everything I enjoy in life. Exercising, running, just walking, moving around, getting from point A to point B. Also having to pay money to get surgery. Like, I just don't have any interest in that even being a remote possibility, which would take me away from all the stuff that I do like, which skiing, it's fine. I've done it, snowboarding, but it's fine. It's fine. It's expensive. So yeah, I don't know how I got there, but shoulder, I'll suck it up. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Let's get into some of the shows I did this week. I didn't go out for many open mics. I'm trying to think if I went to any. Might have gone to one, maybe. But I did. I had multiple shows over the weekend. I hosted a show on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So just just back to the host grind, doing a lot of hosting. It's been good. Hosted on Thursday at a brewery in Denver. It was a rotating tap show, one of the shows that I'm like I host consistently, like 1 or 2 times a month. I've hosted this show in the past. It was an outdoor patio area, and I guess hosted it last year before I was like a full member, a full host within the rotation of the production company, Rotating Tap. And so this was, I think I was just filling in again as well, because there's multiple hosts that typically host the same show, but sometimes, like, if we're not available, we just ask the other host if they can cover. So that was the case, I believe, for this one. But they just do shows here. I think they do like 3 or 4 shows a year just during the summer, because it's on the patio, and then they shut it down, don't do it anymore. And the first time I did it, it was like not incredible, but this time was pretty fun. It like I said, it's an outdoor patio area, and it's a free show. And it's basically just like an outdoor patio area, and there's a bunch of picnic tables in the gravel. It's a fenced-in area, and yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a weird. So let me just tell you how it went, and then I'll tell you kind of the weird part about it. The frustrating part. There's a dude who grinded my gears. But it was pretty full. There's probably like 30-ish people in a space that, an outdoor space that would maybe hold 40 to 50 max. So it was pretty full. People were there to watch the comedy. Did my host set, trying a couple new jokes, which I think I did go to an open mic. I'm trying to think which one. Ooh, yes, went to an open mic on Monday and tried this new joke. And so I tried it at the host set as well. Did it go well? Who's to say? I am to say. I don't think it did go that well, but I'm trying to write some jokes about working at Dick's Sporting Goods and getting fired from there and that whole thing. I'll spare you. I'll work it out a little bit more before I get into the details on that. But yeah, this patio area, I do. You know what? Let me back up. I'm all over the place, but just to set up the whole thing, because the only interesting thing that I'm going to talk about during this night is this one guy that I had an issue with, or he just was a weird dude. But basically, it's a free show. It's on the patio area, but there's a bunch of people that are in like there's kind of 2 patio areas. There's a main patio area that's like just outside of the brewery, and it's right beside the food truck that's there. That's where everybody's hanging out. Then there's like a backside fenced-in patio area that probably nobody would be hanging out at unless there's an event like the comedy show that we were having. So it's a free show. I was going, before the show started, I was just going around the main patio area to let people know, hey, there's a free comedy show happening. If you're interested, feel free to go to the other patio area. Would love to have you join. So I'm doing that, just interrupting a lot of people's conversations, which, people don't like. And I'm not a big fan of going and telling people to stop by, but it's part of the job. So I was doing that. And this one table, I went up and I was like, hey guys, sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to let you know there's like a comedy show in the back. It's free if you're interested. Feel free to go back there. We're going to get started in like 10 minutes. And this one guy, he goes, what, like an open mic? And I was like, oh, no, not an open mic. Whenever somebody says that, I'm like, ugh, gosh, don't go back to the show. You're going to be a problem. Because what happens every once in a while is people are just like, I want to be on the show. Because they have no concept of like how comedy works or like what it takes to get on a show. Sure, of course, for an open mic, anybody can sign up. But for a show, you don't just go, let me get on. I've never done comedy before. Let me hop on. That's the equivalent of like a band playing a show and you being like, I play guitar. can I go up there and play a song or two? It's like, no, you can't. That's a dumb question. Um, anyways, that honestly, that it's kind of a dumb question just because you get it a lot and you kind of there's a type of person and personality that ask that, which is usually kind of annoying. But all in all, that's fine. I don't care that he asked that. The thing that was annoying was he next starts going, "Oh well, we're all producers." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." He's like, "Yeah, we're producers." And I was like, "All right, well, there's a comedy show if you want to see it." So I mean, I didn't, I wasn't like rude to him, but in my head, I'm like, "All right, well, I gotta like talk to the other tables, and I'm not here to like have a conversation about who's the coolest," because that was kind of the vibe he was giving. Like, I'm a big wig, I'm a producer. Anyways, fast forward to about halfway through the show. This table had gone in to watch the comedy show. But the problem was, and the really annoying part was, they had a dog with them. And that's fine. There were other dogs there as well. But this guy, he brought his dog in, and then he tied his dog's leash to the picnic table. And then for most of the show, he left. Like, it was a fenced in area, and then there was like a little entrance gap where there wasn't a fence, where you could kind of watch the show from the side. And it was like, if you wanted to smoke, you couldn't smoke in the patio areas. You had to kind of go outside of the fenced area. So that's what happened. He tied his dog to the picnic table. He wanted to smoke. He went outside and was just smoking, talking to like the other guy in his group. And that's fine. That's all good and well. But guess what? His dog was like, "Yo, you've left me." So his dog is just barking nonstop. Just bark. And instead of this guy being like, "Oh, let me like go get the dog and bring him back out," or "Let me finish this cigarette and go sit with him so the dog's not anxiously barking at me." No, this dude is just drunk, just pointing at his dog from a distance and whisper, like going, "Shut up, shut up." Which, hey, guess what? Did not work. Okay, this dog was like, "You're confusing me. You've left me, and now you're like aggressively pointing at me. Do you want me to come? I cannot come to you. I have a leash tied around a picnic table. What is happening? I'm an animal. I'm a pet. I don't have a big brain. I'm barking because my owner is an idiot." And so he keeps it was one of those things where you're like, "Yo, dude, I probably should go talk to this guy to tell him to like do something about this, but he's being so ignorant and stupid. I genuinely don't know how to address this conversation, other than basically it coming off like, 'Hey man, you're the dumbest person I've ever met. Go get your dog.' Why would you tie your dog to a picnic table in the middle of a comedy show, leave your dog barks nonstop, and you just let it happen? You just watch the dog and point at it. What are you doing? You're an idiot." So that was really obnoxious and bothering me. And then I like go basically that same time he's out smoking a cigarette, and he like waves me over. He's like, "Hey, come here." He's like drunk. And to give you an idea of what this guy looked like, he was like a 5'2" dude with like a wife beater on. He was wearing a hat. I don't know if you guys ever watched that VH1 show back like 20 years ago called The Pickup Artist. It had this dude who's apparently like the best pickup guy. I think his name was like Mystery or something. Look it up. If Google an image of The Pickup Artist on VH1, and you'll see he wears this big like Mad Max hat, and just all these like somebody that you see dressed that way and you go, I don't like judging people aggressively, but I'm judging this person aggressively. You know what I'm saying? You know, when somebody like dresses or acts like so aggressively in a certain manner, you're like, I'm pretty sure I have a good idea of the type of person you are. So he's like drunk. He waves me over. He's wearing this big weird hat. He's like just this sketchy vibe. And he waves me over. He's like, "Hey man, I'm in the." He goes, "How many of these do you do? Do you do a lot of these around town?" And I was like, "Yeah, I host a bunch of shows around town." He's like what? He was asking like the dumbest questions, just like, so like what? Who are you affiliated with? And it's like, well, this is a rotating tab show. I host a bunch of don't tells. But I knew, even saying that, I didn't even tell him that, because I knew like you're not going to know these, that you're like drunk and you're not going to know rotating tab. Like, I don't know if in his mind I'm going to be like, well, I host a lot for Netflix and HBO. Like, those are the only things that he would have known. So it was kind of like a weird question where I'm like, okay, do you want me to name off a bunch of things that you're not familiar with? Because I'm not going to do that. And then he goes, I'm in the film industry. I'm in the film industry. And he goes, what can I do to help you? And I was so annoyed. Just like, first off, he's drunk. His dog has been barking for the last 20 minutes while he does nothing. Um, he and then he's just like, I'm in the film industry. What can I do for you? And I was like, what are you talking about? What, like, first off, I knew already, again, hate to judge people like this right off the bat, but if you saw him, you would have done the same thing. Where you're just like, yeah, you're in the film industry. You are like in a wife beater and haven't showered in 5 days. What kind of film industry? What, you got a Samsung Galaxy 7 that you take videos on and post on YouTube. That's the film industry he's probably talking about. So he goes, how can I help you? And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. How can you help me? What kind of sales pitch is that? Hey man, how can I help you? Like, I don't even know what you do, let alone I don't even want to talk to you. So I almost just straight up, I was like very much not in a great mood with all the stuff he was doing. And I'm not a confrontational person, but I was on the brink of saying, you can't do anything for me. I don't want to speak to you anymore. But I didn't. I said, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what you do. And he was like, let me get your phone number. And foolishly, I shouldn't have done this, but I gave him my phone number. And other comics were like, dude, you gave him your phone number? You're an idiot. And the only reason I did was because he was like drunk and that type of guy that I was like, he's going to call me or text me right now and be like, let me text me back. Show me that you got the thing. And I just didn't want to deal with it. So he sent me a text and was like, yo, this is whatever his name was. He was the type of dude who would have a nickname, like the pickup artist guy who goes by Mystery. I think he told me his name. I can't remember what it was. But anyways, that guy really peeved me quite a bit. But what can you do? You get some of those people sometimes. But that was a decent show. On Friday and Saturday, I hosted Don't Tell shows, which were fun. They were a little bit. Crowd was a little tight on Friday. Hosted at this really cool art gallery, which I've hosted there twice now. It's it's such a bummer because there's some spaces that are like very cool, but for whatever reason, just like the crowds are always really tight. It's basically like this cool little art gallery. So behind you, I mean, there's just art hanging everywhere. There's a bar in there so people can get drinks. It's a cool little setup. There's only like 20 people in the audience, so it's on the smaller side. But it's like a perfect setup. But I think the reason is like you're close to the audience. They're obviously close to you. You cut the lights off and have a spotlight on, but there's still kind of like peripheral light in the room. So you can see everybody in the crowd. They can see you. I mean, obviously they can see you, but they can see that you can see them. And sometimes that just like people feel uncomfortable when you're like close to them, and they're like, a lot of times people just want to be anonymous in the dark and like laugh at the jokes and not have the pressure of the comic looking at them or being super close to them. Um, so I hosted, I think I did as good a job as I could, trying to just be in the moment and not be too aggressive and make people feel uncomfortable. But there's only so much you can do. So it was okay, but it was definitely a tighter crowd. It was also one of those crowds where I could see that the people were enjoying it. Like you can see them smiling. They just sometimes people don't laugh out loud that much. Because also with a smaller crowd, maybe it's not the fact that they can see you, or not the fact that they can tell that you can see them, or they can see you. Not the fact that they're weirded out by that. Sometimes it's just like if a crowd's too small, then people are hesitant to laugh really loud because then it's just like, oh, there's not that many people and everybody's going to know that I'm laughing. Versus if you get a crowd of 100 or just a large crowd and a lot of people are laughing, you're kind of laughing almost in an anonymous way. Anyways, that was that one, it felt like I had to work a little bit harder. That's one where if you're not feeling good, if you're not feeling in the moment and able to really like, put your feet down and get to work, that could have been an awkward one. But Saturday was also did it don't tell. Did that don't tell at another studio. Had 50 people there, which was absolutely packed in there. And it was a good time. It was also kind of a tight crowd for me up top, but they loosened up a little bit. It wasn't the hottest crowd ever. I've done shows at this place before, and it's been like hot. But it was a fun show. People had a good time. It went pretty seamlessly, and had a good time. Had a couple friends that were on the lineup. It was good to catch up with them. And then what else do I have on this little thing? Oh, I signed up for GigSalad. That's another new thing. I'm not sure if I talked about that last time, but if you're not familiar with GigSalad, it's basically a website where you can create a profile if you're an artist or performer, and then people who are looking to have a certain type of performer or artist at their event, they can, request a quote. And when I say artist, I know if you're still listening, Ethan Everhart gave me a hard time, good friend of the pod, but he gave me a hard time of, I think, calling comedy and art. I'm talking about, different types of arts, like musicians and stuff, weddings, whatever. People who are looking for all forms of art, whether you want to include comedy in that or not. But either way, I created a profile. You can pay for like a better profile to basically be seen a little bit more. So I did that, and have had quite a few leads come through, and it's interesting. It's all sorts of different types of stuff, all the way from kind of best case scenario is like a corporate gig where it's like a company who's like, hey, we're having an outing and we want to have a comedian, all the way to like, hey, my son is turning 12 and I want a comedian at his party in our backyard and our budget is $50, which I am not interested in that, by the way. But gotten all sorts of gigs. I've declined quite a few things because they're like, one was a Halloween party for like, I think for like college or just maybe barely above college age. And they're like, yeah, it's going to be at our house. We're having a party. We want a comedian to do like 30 minutes and we want it to be like spooky comedy. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I don't want to do that. But there's also been some other like pretty good options. And so I've sent a couple quotes out. I just heard today, actually, right before this pod, had a couple denials, rejections, which is okay. And then still waiting on a couple, but I'll keep you guys updated. This is going to be, I think, a very important step and necessary step for me as I try to move my way towards full-time comedy. Getting more corporate stuff and just more like random private event things are going to pay usually better money, but B, just help to fill out the calendar. There's only so many comedy clubs and so many shows that you can get to. So having some of these, and then again, trying to get some like higher end corporate stuff, whether it's through GigSalad or through just referrals or things like that. That's going to be an important step to make that money, if you know what I mean. So excited for that. We'll see what comes of that if I'm able to do. I mean, here's the thing: you're kind of quoting, and then just a lot of times probably people are looking for the cheapest price. And right now, I don't have any reviews, so it's kind of hard. I need to get some gigs under my belt, get some reviews, hopefully good reviews, for then to add a little credibility and validity to my profile and to my to me as a comedian. Because right now I haven't done any gigs, so it's just like, okay, this comic who, I've got videos and stuff on the website so they can get like a taste of my comedy, and I've got information on there. But it is a bit of a risk, I guess you could say, if it's just a brand new person with no reviews. Not even just on the comedy, like, is the comedy going to be good? But it helps to have reviews, just to have people be like, hey, I'm inviting this person into my basement. Are they a nice person? Are they normal? Are they weird? Like, so that's important. So hopefully I can get some under my belt, get some reviews, and be able to have a little easier time from there doing these gigs. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'm excited for it. I'm sure it's going to be very weird and strange, but probably will make actually pretty good podcast content, telling you guys some awkward stories doing comedy in someone's basement. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. If you made it this far, appreciate you listening all the way. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys again next week.